What? What is it? What is it? What's?
I
Oh,
don't know. Something seems amiss.
I don't know. I feel like we're finally our true selves.
Absolutely. So Shabbat Shalom and Chag Purim Sameach.
Purim Sameach.
So happy Purim. Purim actually was last night and today, but there are a lot of Jews that celebrate things for 2 days. Why not Purim? Right? So Shabbat Shalom and Purim Sameach. This is our Shabbat service, but it is also our Purim service here at Temple Sinai of Palm Beach County. So we're going to start actually with the candle lighting and the Kiddush, and I'd like to invite Bob and Judy Shoemaker to please light the candles and say the Kiddush in honor of Judy's birthday. Happy birthday, Judy.
Thank you. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adleknu shel Shabbat. Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Va'erev va'voker yom hashishi. And there was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Baruch Pri Hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Shabbat kacho v'yahavu ratzon v'hilanu zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishi v'yom tahila v'mikra'e kodesh zecher v'tziyah v'tzrayim v'hanu v'ha'ata v'tanu k'dashta v'kolim v'shabbat kadshecha v'yaratzon v'katanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Thank you, Bob and Judy, and Shabbat Shalom and happy birthday.
Shabbat shalom.
And now, why don't we start with a song to get us in the mood and the spirit for this holiday of Purim? Cantor Jake? Welcome to everyone who's joined us.
Hello, to all of our friends, both on the Zoom call and also on the YouTube. So this first song, just before we start, like my mom always said, with flowers on the table, it's hard to see you. It's actually hard to see you, so hope you like the mask. There it's going to stay for the rest of the service. Now let's sing about Purim. We're supposed to be wacky, we're supposed to be silly, but what's this Purim thing all about anyways? Well, we're going to find out tonight, if you didn't already know. Chag Purim, Chag Gadol hu liYehudim, Masechot Rasharim, Zmirot Rikudim. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Parashanim. Chag Purim, let's sing. Chag Purim, Chag Gadol hu liYehudim, Masechot Rashanim, Zmirot Rikudim. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Parashanim. This one's for the kids, for the youths. Purim Day, such a happy holiday. We make noise with our toys, children laugh and play. Let's hear the groggers rush, rush, rush. Let's hear the groggers rush, rush, rush. Let's hear the groggers rush, rush, rush. When they say amen. I said, when they say amen, Rabbi Aviva.
Boo!
Ah!
And now a few brief announcements before we begin our service. Tonight's Erev Shabbat service is sponsored by Donna and Larry Lopater in memory of Dr. Harry Berg, Judy and Bob Schumacher in honor of Judy's birthday. Happy birthday once again, Judy. And Scott, my wonderful husband, and myself in honor of Doreen Solkoff's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Our Saturday, February 27th, Shabbat Torah study is sponsored by Nirit Weiser in honor of Judy Schumacher's birthday. And the following donations to the community food pantries are sponsored by Melissa Schechter in memory of her parents, Estelle and Manny Schechter, and Jill and Neil Broadman in memory of Rachel Broadman and Sydney Broadman. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Thank you all for your generosity. And now we begin our Shabbat service with Lecha Dodi on page 138, and it might be to a little bit of a different melody tonight. So Cantor Jake, take it away.
All right, so in keeping up with traditions here at Temple Sinai, we will stick to our beloved verses of 1, 2, 5, and 9. Aydai lecha dodi, aydai likrat kala, aydai b'nei Shabbat nekabela. That's how it goes tonight, folks. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Ay, lecha dodi, aydai likrat kala, aydai b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'ribur echad, Ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, v'shem u'tifereth v'letehila. Ay, lecha dodi, ay, likrat kala, ay, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מכרם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במקשבה תחילה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5, here we go. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומיורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 בני שבת נקבלה. Rise in body or in spirit, and just be your wacky selves, folks. This is Purim. בואי ושלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 בני שבת נקבלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי 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 בני שבת נקבלה. Remain standing in body or in spirit as we go for the formal call to worship. Formal call to worship, the Baruch. That can be found on page 146. Formal call to worship. Yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 Please take a seat.
So tonight we celebrate Purim. And on Purim, there are certain blessings that we say or chant, one of which is a blessing that we say on another holiday, another minor holiday, Al Hanisim. And if you know what the other holiday is on which we sing Al Hanisim, you can write it in the chat and we can see if anyone guesses the other holiday or knows it, the other holiday that we say Al Hanisim. But as we think about that, we are going to turn to Al Hanisim, the Al Hanisim for Purim, that Cantor Jake will lead us in.
Al Hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagurot ve'al hashudot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita לאבותינו הימים ההם בזמן הזה. Al Hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagurot ve'al hashudot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita לאבותינו הימים ההם בזמן הזה. Al Hanisim ve'al hapurkan הפורקן ועל הגבורות ועל התשובות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורקן ועל הגבורות ועל התשובות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. בימים ההם בזמן הזה, בימים ההם בזמן הזה.
So we did have someone guess or know what the other holiday is, another minor holiday of Hanukkah. I see that somebody wrote it in the chat, but it doesn't say who, it just says iPad. So whoever had that iPad, you got it right. But this is actually one holiday on which the book that we read during this holiday actually does not contain the name of God. God is actually hidden, absent from the story. And so that's one reason why the rabbis felt it was really important to liturgically add God in and say that God's responsible for all of the miracles. Al hanisim, the nisim are the miracles. Nes gadol hayasham from Hanukkah. Nes is one miracle, nisim are many miracles, and that God was responsible for them. But this is one book, the book of Esther, out of two books in our Tanakh, our Holy Bible, that does not contain the name of God. So we'll see as we go on what the other book is. If you happen to know and want to put it in the chat, what is the other book of the Hebrew Bible that does not contain the name of God? That's our question. But as we ask that question, I'm going to ask you to think about the name of God because it is Shabbat and we are worshiping. So we're going to turn to pages 152 and 153, or you probably know it already. And if it is your custom to rise for Shema, please do so now as we turn to page 152 and sing Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Avad. And now we turn to page 154 and read together in the English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. And now for another Shabbat song, we turn to page 162 as Jake leads us in Vishamru. And please be seated if you have not already done so.
המרית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדור את המרית עולם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדור את המרית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. Come on. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדור את המרית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדור את המרית עולם. And now, as it is Shabbat, we turn to the Amidah. So take a moment when we get to the silent meditation to have a moment with yourself and God, however you see fit. We're on page 164. שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukroshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. עושה שלום במרומו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומו, יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Cantor Jake. It's one of my favorite Beatles song is Blackbird. So I think it should be not just for Purim, but many times. It's a beautiful tune for Oseh Shalom. Thank you. So we're going to continue now with the time in our service when we think of those who are in need of healing, of spiritual healing, of bodily healing, of mental healing, emotional healing, or all of the above. So if you have someone you are thinking of who is in need of such healing, please say their name aloud now. And to this we add all of those whom we know who are in need of healing, and we're going to put their names on the screen as I lead us in the Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah v'Yivarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham There is an old Hasidic story about a Catholic priest and a rabbi. I know it sounds like a setup to a joke, but it isn't. The Catholic priest comes to the rabbi and asks him for advice, saying because his monastery was once thriving and is failing, has only 6 elderly monks living there. So he says, "What can I do?" says the priest. The rabbi closes his eyes and thinks for a minute and says, "I don't know, but what I can tell you is that one of your monks is the Messiah." The priest is astonished and excited. He goes back to the monastery and tells all the monks what he has heard. They're all abuzz, trying to figure out who the Messiah might be. They all treat each other with extra kindness because, after all, the person with whom they are speaking could be the Messiah himself. Pretty soon, the word gets out that his monastery is special because the Messiah is among the monks. And soon, many young men wish to join this special monastery, and it begins to flourish once again. The point of this story is that if we treat others as if they are the most important people, it will transform the whole world so that it becomes what we wish, a true age of peace and beauty, the Messianic age. In Jewish tradition, there's a belief that at any time in history, there are 36 righteous people in the world, the Lamed Vavniks, named for the letters Lamed and Vav, which in Hebrew spells or makes the numerical value of 36. These righteous people could be anyone we meet, and it is because of their merit that the world continues. Because we do not know who they are, we are to treat everyone we meet as if he or she is one of these special, righteous people. This Hasidic story is also about hiddenness, the notion that a person's true identity may not be known, even to that person, him or herself. That is one focus of the book of Esther, the book of the Hebrew Bible on which the story of Purim is based. Throughout most of the story of Esther, she keeps her identity hidden. In fact, the name Esther comes from a Hebrew root meaning to hide. Esther hides her Jewish identity to assimilate into the dominant Persian culture until toward the end of the story, she reveals herself and in so doing saves her people, the Jewish people. On Purim, we hide too, behind masks and costumes. Even God is hidden, as I mentioned. Nobody took me up on that. What's the other book of the Torah, of the Tanakh, rather, the Hebrew Bible, in which God is absent? But in any case, the book of Esther, God is hidden, as God is not even mentioned in the story at all. On this holiday, we celebrate what is hidden. For almost a year now, we have not been able to show our faces in full to each other in public. In fact, with this global pandemic, we've become used to not being able to see one another's facial expressions. It's hard even to recognize other people sometimes, as half of our faces are hidden from the world. One of the lessons of the Purim story is the bravery it takes sometimes to announce our Jewishness to the world. It would be wonderful if the anti-Semitism that exists in the Purim story were a thing of the past. But as we well know, it is alive and thriving in our midst. It sometimes takes courage to wear our Star of David necklace or to display our Hanukkah menorahs in our windows in December. But Esther showed the way for us, speaking truth to power, and we must do so as well, and fight hate and hate crimes, not only against our own people, but wherever it rears its ugly head. There's another, more hopeful side, though. As the Hasidic story I related at the beginning of this talk demonstrated, we never know who is behind the mask of the person we encounter out in the world. Yes, it may be an anti-Semite or a white supremacist, but it also may be one of the Lamed Vavniks, and we are to treat every person as if he or she was able to bring us into an age of peace, the Messianic age. And in this way, if all of us do this every time we encounter another person, maybe, just maybe, we will. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Purim Sameach. And now we continue in our service with the reading of the Megillah. And there are blessings to be said when we read the Megillah. The brachot are found on page 573 of our Siddur. And in a moment, we will hear the Megillah being read, actually chanted by Cantor Jake, and we'll also see the words themselves. Okay, page 573. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim la'avotenu ve'imotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'echianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. And now for the reading of the Megillah.
ויהי בימי אחשוורוש, הוא אחשוורוש, המולך מהודו ועל כוש, 27 מדינה, בימים ההם כשבט המלך אחשוורוש, על כיסא מלכותו אשר בשושן הבירייה, בשנת 3 למלכו עשה משתה לכל שריו, ועבדיו חיל, פרס ומדי, הפרטמים ושרי המדינות לפניו, בחרותו את עושר כבוד מלכותו, ואת יקר תפארת גדולתו, ימים רבים 800 יום.
Okay, I'm going to read a translation, but it's actually a summary of the Purim story. And as I read the summary, it is traditional to blot out the name of the villain of the story, who is, of course, Haman. Boo! So every time you hear Haman, it's up to you to shake something, rattle something, make noise, and boo. We can't hear you, but we'll feel it from here, okay? So this is a summary. Achashverosh was a rich, powerful king. He throws a huge party, and after lots of drinking, he calls for Vashti, his queen, to appear in her royal crown, and maybe nothing else. She refuses, and as instructed by his advisors, he exiles her for fear she will set a bad example to other women. In recent times, though, Vashti is her own heroine of the story, and some people like to dress up as Vashti too. But anyway, Achashverosh, this silly king, holds a beauty pageant to find a new wife, and Esther, who was an orphan, who was looked after and brought up by her uncle Mordecai, Esther is presented and wins this beauty pageant. Now, she doesn't admit to the king that she is Jewish. As I said, she hides her identity. Mordecai goes to the palace every day to see how she is. This is her uncle, Mordecai. While there, he overhears Bigtan and Teresh, these two guys, these two security guard thugs, plotting to overthrow the king. So he tells Esther, who reports it back to the king. Those two are hanged. The king promotes Haman. That's what I have for a grogger. And everyone has to bow down to him. But Mordecai refuses, enraging Haman. Haman plots to kill the Jews and gets the king to agree to it because they have different laws. So he's just agreed to kill all of the Jews in Shushan. Lots are drawn for a date to kill all the Jews. Mordecai and all the Jews mourn at this news. Esther sends a message to Mordecai to find out why he was in mourning. Mordecai tells her and says that maybe that is why she is queen, for this very purpose, to save her people. Esther calls for all the Jews to fast for 3 days and does so herself. After this, she invites the king and Haman to a banquet. At this banquet, she invites them to another one the next day. Haman spots Mordecai, who still won't bow to him, which makes him angrier. His wife suggests that he build gallows to hang Mordecai from. King Achashverosh can't sleep, so he reads his chronicles. Here he finds out that Mordecai had saved him with no reward when he saved him from those thugs who were planning to kill him. So when Haman approaches the king to discuss the hanging of Mordecai, the king asks how Haman would honor the man who truly pleases the king, asking about Mordecai. But Haman, boo, didn't know that. Haman assumes that this is about him because he thinks, of course, everything's about him. Who else would the king wish to honor but he himself? So he instructs the king to dress this man as a king and get an official to parade him down the street on horseback, saying that the king wants to honor him. So Haman is sent to do this for Mordecai. Haman's wife and advisors predict that Haman will fall before Mordecai. Haman goes to Esther's banquet, and Achashverosh asks what she wants. She asks for her and her people's lives. Achashverosh asks who has threatened her, and she points to Haman. Haman begs her for forgiveness, but the king thinks she is trying to violate her. He is trying to violate her and puts him to death on the gallows he built for Mordecai. Ahasuerus gives his signet ring to Mordecai, who writes into law to be sent across the empire that the Jews now have permission to kill anyone who threatens them with violence on the day that they were supposed to be killed. The Jews rejoice and feast. Jews are now feared. In Shushan, 500 non-Jews were killed, and Haman's 10 evil sons, although their possessions were not touched. Esther asks for a second day for the Jews to kill their enemies, which is granted, resulting in another 300 deaths. We tend not to look at that part so closely when we talk about this book with the kids. Anyway, across the empire, 75,000 were killed, and there were celebrations and feasts. Mordecai instructs the Jews that they must celebrate feasts and give gifts to each other and the poor, and this should be remembered for generations. So, of course, we celebrate that we won and we survived. And that's the end of the story. But that was kind of a boring way to tell the story. Cantor Jake, as well as his beautiful girlfriend that we know so well, Cantor Rachel Slusky, they came together and they wrote a beautiful parody to explain what really happened behind the scenes during the book of Esther. And here it is.
I hope you'll sing along with me, if you know it. Purim's a party and we're all invited. We'll tell the story, I hope you're excited. Haman cast lots to decide when to kill all of the Jews living in Persiaville. King Ahasuerus, he wanted a new queen. His first wife Vashti had caused such a big scene. She wouldn't put on a dancing display. King Ahasuerus then cast her away. Esther was gorgeous, the king had to choose her. Her uncle Mordecai said he could use her. Her life or her people, he said she must choose. Someone was plotting to kill all the Jews. Evil Haman made the king sign a brand new decree, saying that all Jews in Shushan would die. But Esther said, please, not me. So the king said, darling Esther, Haman's gonna pay. Each generation we celebrate Purim, 'cause Queen Esther saved the day.
I love that. I think that should become our new Megillah. What do you say, Jake?
That's new Megillah. New Megillah. What do we say? Megillat Chadash? Chadashah.
Yes.
I don't know.
Very nice. Megillat Chadashah, I guess. Megillah Chadashah. Wonderful. Okay, so we come back to our service to finish it off as we turn to page 586 for the Aleinu. And Cantor Jake, I guess you don't get much of a breathing space. Sipping on the vodka, I see, huh?
Sipping on the vodka. Yeah, that's the Purim tradition for me. I just started it this year, just now.
Right. No, I'm sure that's just water, but maybe later.
It's gin.
Ah.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
And now for a somber moment. This is a time in our service when we remember those who have passed on. At this time, we recall those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary of their passing, come at this time this week. Those whose names are on the plaques surrounding the sanctuary: Rebecca Aaron, Yetta Avirgan, Rose Barent, Harry K. Davis, Barney Dubin, Sadie Folkman, Shirley Golden, Wendy Elaine Goodsnyder, Corinne Grauer, David Greenberg, Sam Greenberg, Stanley Jackenthal, Major Robert D. Jassam, Jerome Kaufman, David B. Clarer, Raymond Leibowitz, Felix G. Levy, Sylvia R. Levy, Sharon Lynn Lowe, Esther Mintz, Ruth Presser, Wilfred Rabkin, David Reamer, Philip Sandler, Bessie Saunders, Estelle Schechter, Shirley Shine, Marvin R. Schiff, Herman Sheikovitz, Jenny Stillman, Samuel N. Straum, Mac Tash, Rebecca Treister, Esther Weisenberg, and Dale Brody Zeitz. Others recalled at this time: Harry Berg, George Brown, Diane Erdl, Jack Friedman, Joseph Friedman, Genevieve Goodman, Alicia Hirsch, Dorothy Lent, Dorothy Meritz, Sarah Miller, Jack Pearl, Florence Pechenik, Marie Schumacher, and Morris Silver. Those whose deaths are more recent: Paul Nathan, Norman Bergstein, Hal Grosshandler, Jerry Boyer, Barbara Katz, and Lawrence Geller. If you are thinking of someone whom I have not named, please say their names aloud now. And so, in memory of all of those who we have named, as well as all of those who were murdered in the Shoah, we rise in solidarity with mourners everywhere as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divarach Yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lol me'almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemei d'kudashah brichu le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram ba'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalom haraba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel V'imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all who mourn among us and in all communities of the world. And let us all say, Amen. Please take a seat. And before we go to our concluding song, I just want to announce nobody came up with the name of the other book of the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, that does not contain God's name. And that is Song of Songs. Song of Songs. So that's a little bit of a risque part of our Tanakh. So if you're looking for something a little different to read, that's a good one to read. Very interesting. Okay, so our concluding song is da 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 da. Mi shenichnas Adar. He or she who enters Adar this month is to be happy. So Jake, take it away.
This is my happy face. So if you haven't sang this one before, sung this one before, sing it this one before, it goes a little something like this. Misha, 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 nichnas Adar. Misha, 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 nichnas Adar. Misha, nichnas Adar, marvim besimcha. Misha, nichnas Adar, marvim besimcha. Sing it with me now. Misha, 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 nichnas Adar. Misha, 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 nichnas Adar. Misha, nichnas Adar, marvim besimcha. Misha, nichnas Adar, marvim besimcha. Misha, 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 nichnas Adar. Misha, 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 nichnas Adar. Misha, nichnas Adar, marvim besimcha. Misha, nichnas Adar, marvim besimcha.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and Chag Purim Sameach. And to those who are on this Zoom call with us now live, we are about to have our virtual oneg together. So please hang out for a little bit, and we will be with you in just a few moments.